Hello and good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for the people in the East, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for what promises to be a truly enlightening session. We're here to help explore the most fundamental aspects of our health and aging, the secret to healthy cells and aging. And who better to guide us through this journey than a pioneer in the field of vitamin E research himself? It is my profound honor to introduce Dr. Barrie Tan, a name that stands out as a beacon of innovation in the realm of nutritional science. Acknowledged globally as a leading expert in vitamin E, Dr. Tan has pioneered the discovery of tocotrienols in sources like rice, palm, and annatto. His work has unveiled a form of vitamin E crucial for our health and vitality of our cells. So just a quick note before we begin, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box and we'll be happy to address them towards the end of the presentation. So now Dr. Tan joins us today and share his deep insights into cellular health and science of aging, making these complex topics accessible and relevant to you as practitioners in today's world. So over to you, Dr. Tan.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind and wonderful introduction. So I'm going to have this thing, Annatto tocotrienol, in two parts. About 80% of it will be on tocotrienol, leaving 10-20% to talk about ubiquinol. That towards the end it'll be obvious. So let me begin. I'm ever excited, even though I gave many of this talk, and I'm excited because how this miraculous small compound interacts with the human body positively to address chronic condition, what I call aging in this. So without ado, let me just get into this. I'm supposed to make a disclosure. So this is a disclosure that this is not for treatment, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease according to the FDA. This is how I would cover it, mostly on the tocotrienol as I indicated, and then some aspect of the ubiquinol towards the latter parts. I will have pictures that you see on the left, right, and center about the beautiful annatto plant for which this discovery of mine is made. This is my discovery, so I'll try to make this short. I have been on this probably for 40 years. If somebody asks me, am I proud of this that took so long? No, I'm not necessarily proud, but sometime in life, certain things arrest your attention, and this is one of those things that arrested my attention. So as I said it, you can probably read the 4 points. It started in Malaysia with palm tocotrienol, rice tocotrienol, in the beautiful few years that I did with the Prince of Thailand, and then segue to South America. I discovered this annatto tocotrienol, so you can see the pictures of annatto tocotrienol prophetically. On the top left-hand picture, younger me had hair then. I was taking picture with an annatto plant, never knowing that another 20 years later, this would be the fate of my life. At that time, I was looking, I think this was in southern part of Thailand, that picture was taken. I was looking for rice tocotrienol. So the last 10, 15, 20 years, we are making annatto tocotrienol and GG in the United States. By the way, we're the only company making tocotrienol in the United States like that. And so we're doing a lot of clinical studies, applied lipid nutrient, things like that. So I know you can't see me. Can you see me, my video, or just the slides?
We can see you as well as the slides.
Okay, so if you can see me as well as slide, why don't I show you the picture? This is a discovery when I made the annatto thing, a picture taken in Ecuador, like that. And this is a wonderful picture of, I love this picture because it's just beautiful. You can see the right annatto plant, and the color is a keratin, and the tocotrienol protects the degradation of the color, like that. And this one here, I don't know if we are in screen or not. This is the molecular structure of delta tocotrienol, the main component in annatto. And this is the ring here, see here, and that's the OH group to do the oxidation. That's it. So it's not so complicated, and it's different from tocopherol in the sense you see here, 1, 2, 3 double bond, and that makes all the difference in this molecule compared to tocopherol. So that's it. That's all the pictures I'm going to show you on the video. It is 100 years since the discovery of vitamin E in UC Berkeley, 1922, known as a birth vitamin because it helped the fetus to full term. Most of us know vitamin E as an antioxidant, discovery 1937, and then 40 years or so after the discovery of vitamin E, tocopherol, tocotrienol was discovered. So one would have guessed that the tocotrienol is like a runt. Is a brother later in discovery, probably would not survive under the shadow of tocopherol. Then came me when I came to University of Massachusetts as an assistant professor. I stumbled into tocotrienol and I study it. And then that's fine, except in the 1990s, there were a lot of clinical studies with alpha tocopherol. Almost all of them failed. So, and then I thought, oh, now I'm going to have a threat and a fear to my professional life because I may be the baby thrown away with the bathwater because tocotrienol is a vitamin E. But then I persisted. This is truly a personal thing. I persisted to do research because I believe tocotrienol is going to yield a benefit that alpha tocopherol does not have. And then if you look at the bottom diagram there, the first half, the darker green color, most of the tocopherol study. Why tocopherol study? Because tocotrienol was not yet discovered. And then the lighter green color tocotrienol started to exist. And then in the least green color, almost all of those studies were tocotrienol. So you can take home that is a cartoon picture, but that cartoon picture exemplified what happened in the last 100 years. This is a diagram about the structure of vitamin E. So there are about 4 tocopherol on the dark green color and the less green color tocotrienol. On the tocopherol, there are the 4 Greek letters, alpha, beta, delta, gamma tocopherol, and alpha tocopherol being the most well-known one. On the right-hand side, the tocotrienol. If you look carefully, the only difference between the tocopherol and tocotrienol would be the tail. If you look at the tail of a tocotrienol, it has 3 double bond, and then the tocopherol does not have any double bond. So if you want a simplistic thing to say, tocopherol have saturated tail. Tocotrienol have unsaturated tail. That's a good way to do it. And then on the bottom, you see the delta and gamma purple color. Why did I color them purple? If you Google vitamin E and then you Google delta tocotrienol, gamma tocotrienol, say if you have 100 papers out there, almost 80 of those papers will be delta T3 that does X, Y, and Z. I cannot even tell you all actually there's so many different study people do it. And then probably about 10 of them will be gamma tocotrienol. Then leave the other remaining 10 study will be alpha tocotrienol and beta tocotrienol, like that. So all that to say, almost all the benefits come from delta tocotrienol and gamma tocotrienol. That's so, and Annatto tocotrienol is uniquely tocotrienol in the bottom, and this slide shows you this. If you look at the top right, the bottom is just a Annatto plantation that I took a picture somewhere in my travel. If you look at the diagram on the top right, if you look at the retention time, people call it, where these peaks would show, where it is 2 to 4 minutes. If there were to be tocopherol, you see huge peaks showing up. You do not. And by the way, most plants have tocopherol, like soy, like corn will have there, but not Annatto. It's nada, nothing. Nothing. And we've done hundreds of these studies. Almost none of the time we see tocopherol. Almost none of the time. Occasionally you have a small blip, but almost most of the time nothing. And then you have a gamma tocotrienol. If you integrate the area, it's about 10%. And then your delta tocotrienol, 90%. Now, remember the slide that I had before. Almost all the study is proving positive with delta tocotrienol. And then you do Annatto tocotrienol, 90% is delta. This is directly from the plant. That means if you manipulate anything with this, then this is going to be a pure drug. We did not manipulate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a blessing. It's not me. The plant makes it like this. The plant makes it like this probably to make sure that the Bixen color is not decomposed. So I'm just fortunate to have 20 years before studying tocotrienol, and when I stumble on this, recognizing that 90% is the most potent one and 10% is the second most potent one, and then there's no tocopherol. Now the composition on the rice, palm, and annatto. The teal color, which is tocopherol. Look at that. In the palm and rice, they contain 25 to 50% tocopherol. And they contain in the maroon color 35 to 50% tocotrienol. Yes, that's good, but it's no home run, you see. But it doesn't do all the job because it doesn't have all the tocotrienol. Now you look at annatto. It only contained maroon color, only tocotrienol, free of tocopherol. So you probably picked up the nuance I said. Oh, why did Dr. Tan mumble so much about tocotrienol? This is tocopherol, this is it. So the question that you back in your mind is, so why not alpha tocopherol? Not inherently alpha tocopherol, I'm purposely demonizing because my product has tocotrienol, no alpha tocopherol? No, it was not based on that. It's based on this. The left column and the right column. Just takes one moment. Just read the top line and the bottom line. The in between, you can read it faster than I can read it myself. Alpha tocopherol interferes with tocotrienol. And the bottom, alpha tocopherol put brakes on tocotrienol function. Well, if you put brakes on tocotrienol function, why would I want tocotrienol to have alpha tocopherol in it? But because it's going to only make me go backwards. So if you think of a car, yes, the tocotrienol will do the job. So the gas pedal is on, but the brake pedal is also simultaneously on. You don't want that. So the only one that doesn't have that is annatto tocotrienol because it simply doesn't have anything to break the tocotrienol. So now, little wonder why when we conduct the study with annatto tocotrienol, many of them have stellar results. Not me. It is the annatto tocotrienol themselves. And right now, Extract Wellness is doing the championing this product. Not them. It's because the product that they sell works on people. If you are excited, I am excited. We are pushing the direction of good health of all people, like wellness. So now on the right-hand side, alpha tocopherol is problem in physiologic function. So alpha tocopherol have too many landmines by itself. This is not talking about tocotrienol. If you read the in-between 5 points, you'll do it faster than I can. Alpha tocopherol, if you give too much for people, it has physiologic function. So because of all this landmine, I simply recommend people, if you eat your food, if you have 5 to 10 milligrams of alpha tocopherol, that would be fine. That would be enough. But please, please do not supplement alpha tocopherol. It bears no additional benefit to you. And when you're taking tocotrienol, it can only interfere with the function of your tocotrienol. So this is a recap, and you can read this. I'm going to move on. So now I'm going to talk about the clinical studies that we did. So generally speaking, tocotrienol works best on the chronic condition. Cardiovascular disease is the first one I cover. So inflammation, lipids, oxidation, and arteriosclerosis. About 20 years ago, we did not know much. At the time, we gave people 200 milligram tocotrienol, have some other polyphenols like quercetin and resveratrol because we didn't know any better like that. And then we studied healthy elderly 60 to almost 70 years old for 4 weeks. And if you look, the C-reactive protein drop, and then oxidative stress marker drop, and then the total antioxidant status increase. Antioxidant status refer to catalase superoxide dismutase. These are endogenous antioxidant enzymes. They increase. So I said, okay, there is something about this tocotrienol. I should study more. This is not the end story. We purposely study healthy subjects to see how they might work with them. So this is a good lead, and for 4 weeks. So now we're designing better and firmer study. So now we study people with cholesterol and inflammation. Remember, this study is still 15 years ago. Magic doesn't happen overnight. So I back at the time that Harvard said that Harvard University indicated that half the people who have heart attack have high cholesterol, the other half of them have inflammation. So I asked the scientists who did this work in University of Wisconsin, can you please study inflammation as well? Because half the people have normal cholesterol but have high inflammation. Hence, this study was done for that reason. So they're hypercholesterolemic subject. But these are early days. We did not know what the dosage are. Don't get too excited. Oh, a wellness extract doesn't have this and another thing. This actually teach you why wellness extract have the amount that they need. This is 15 years ago. I didn't have all the things that I have now, that I know now. So therefore, we gave people 125 milligram one group, 250 milligram the next group, 500 milligram the next group, and 750 milligram the highest dose the next group. This were given all at one slot, not separated doses, because we didn't know how much they would or would not absorb. So if you look at this, so now the audience can be educated. If you look at the cholesterol part, the 250 where I circle seem to drop the best on the lipids. And then on the inflammation, the 500 also work as well as the 250. If you look at the numbers of what increase or drop, you can see the 250 and 500 approximate each other. And then the 125 already started to work. So you have both doses that can work. On the inflammation, so the summary, it reduces inflammation, reduces lipid oxidation, improve liver and heart function. This is it. So, but from this study, I have another take-home message. I thought, aha, if I need to deliver 500 milligram, I need to do it, split it in half and give people 250 milligram, because I give them all 500 milligram at one time, it won't absorb as much. So if you were to have people that take, which is why our highest dose is 300 milligram at one time, which is rounded off to 300, and all our cancer study patients take 300 milligram. And then if they need more, they have it divided doses. You see this. So this study is important. So now we went on to do cardiometabolic study, pre-diabetes, fatty liver, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes. This is the entire cluster of cardiometabolic disease. Ladies and gentlemen, if people are pre-diabetic, they're about 60, 70 million. Fatty liver, 90 million. Metabolic syndrome, another 60, 80 million. And type 2 diabetes, 35 million. Of course, some of these overlap the other one. So if you cluster this got to be the highest cluster of all time like this. So we decided to zone in and study tocotrienol in this. When you cluster this metabolic syndrome risk factor, these are the risk factors. So you can read the 5 of them cluster. And to the best of my knowledge, when we used tocotrienol, we saw that almost all of these 5 risk factors was mitigated. Even if 3 of these 5 factors were mitigated, I would be a happy man. But all of them, you will see this. I won't come back to this slide. Just remember what I say in this slide. And by the way, this diagram, I didn't make it up. I just pulled it up from the internet and present it to you. The CDC talk about it. The American Diabetes Association talk about it. So it's not new. But for the audience, it's important to capture this. Particularly elevated triglyceride on the top left and reduce HDL like that, elevated blood pressure, circumference of the waist, fasting glucose. So the first one we did was delta tocotrienol improve glycemic control in prediabetes. Therefore, this study was done in prediabetes. How do we design it? The first clinical study, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, 3 months, We give them delta go, that's just our trademark. 3 months of Annatto Tocotrienols, 300 milligrams. Straightforward, no, not complex. 77 pre-diabetic patient. The fasting glucose is that much, A1C is that much. So if you see supplemented placebo, you can see it directly as you see it. So in the pre-diabetic, the fasting glucose drop, A1C drop. What's the difference with fasting glucose and A1C? Fasting glucose is an emotional number. You have a meal last night, you take it the next morning on an empty stomach. A1C measures the sugar over 3 months. So if what happened last night did not reflect that. So short term, 4.3% drop. Long term, the sugar dropped by 4.5%. That may not sound like a big number to you, but that is significant. If you don't believe me, you go read about what the A1C control is drugs out there. That would be nothing to sneeze at like that. Insulin, you want insulin to drop. If the insulin drop, that means that the insulin is beginning to be functional again, not dysfunctional insulin, functional insulin. And HOMA IR is a measurement of insulin as well as sugar combined. If that dropped, that is the measurement that American Diabetes Association much like. So if you look at placebo and the tocotrienol supplemented, much better. This is only at 300 milligrams. Now I'm going to segue to fatty liver. We went hard, ladies and gentlemen, we went hard after this. Because why did I do that? Because of the prevalence. About 80 to 100 million Americans have this condition. But am I have some jittery? Yes, I have jittery. We take risks all in our life. I take a clinical study risk as well as anything else. Why do I do this? Because the liver is the largest organ. I want to directly know if the tocotrienol would mitigate this or not. So therefore, I'm studying the complications of fatty liver. I on the third dot there, inflammation, fibrosis, infection, cancer. So the liver of people who take high fat and high carb looks like that of heavy drinkers, but they are not. So, and hence the awkward name of this disease, non-alcohol fatty liver disease, like that. So this is a study. Rather than telling you all the design, we just gave you straight to the jugular. This is our study. And then I have 3 other pictorial diagrams that follow. But give me one moment and don't get confused, even though this slide is a little bit busy. There are 3 separate studies. One for 3 months, finish, stop, publish. 6-month study, finish, stop, publish. And 12-month study, finish, stop, publish. Except the 12-month study, we also took reading at 6 months to compare with the separate 6-month study done earlier. So this is a 5-year-long study like that. And they are given 300 milligrams twice daily on the top. So I sectioned this out. You can see the gray line. The first one is the patient themselves can figure it out. The second one, the health professional and doctors can figure it out. And the last one, the specialists can figure it out. The top one first. We did not factor in that when the patient take this, they would lose weight. Would you believe this? They consistently lost weight in 3, 6, and 12 months, about 10 to 15 pounds. And the BMI also dropped. You can see the arrow going from one direction to the next. And some of them they are not dose dependent, by the way. The dose is the same for all the study, but they're time dependent. So this is a nuance most people don't get to do. Most people do, oh, if you take higher dose, would that help? We already know the 600 milligram work really well with people, so we don't want to change that. So we wanted to know, is the mitigating of fatty liver, the support of fatty liver continue to be sustained in a time progressed fashion. That is this study. And then the waist circumference drop. Well, the patient can themselves can figure this out. That's that piece. If the patient go to see the doctor, we support that. So if you go to see your health professional is probably going to take blood work. They're going to measure triglyceride. The triglyceride drop. You can see a lot of them are progressing. See, 10, 13, 16, like that. And ALT, AST is a common liver-borne, no, blood-borne enzymes found in the liver, and then they also drop. It measures the extent of the liver damage. If you see, it dropped from about 15% to almost 30% after 12 months. And then we also measure the C-reactive protein. The liver is inflamed, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see 18, 20, 38%. What is there not to like? It's just the numbers are the number. And then the oxidized fat also. However, we push the boundary on the 12-month study in particular. We want the specialist to buy in on it. That means now I have to study steatosis, the actual fat stored in the liver. I want to study fibrosis, the scarring of the liver tissue. And I wanted to see the death or the survival of the liver cell. Well, any of these survival of the liver cell, steatosis, which is fat in the liver, fibrosis, which is scarring of the tissue, well, this kind of like suggests that the liver damage is irreversible. That's what the specialists want to know. And if you look, we did not have this at 3 months because I didn't know how to ask those questions at 3 months, but we definitely have it at 6 months and 12 months. Clearly, that is a sweet spot. So when I saw this, I'm really thrilled. So this one diagram says a lot, but if you want a simplistic, cartoonic, pictorial thing, the next 3 slides. So this is the patient themselves can figure it out. The BMI, weight circumference, and weight drop. So that's this over time. So it is what it is. And then they look at the elevated liver enzyme biomarker. You can see 0 at the beginning, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. We did not have a measurement at 9 months. I put that as a way to segregate the 6 and 12 months. You can see C-reactive protein drop, liver enzyme drop. This is really sweet. It's clear. And then this one here, what the specialists want, the steatosis, which is the storing of the fat in the liver, it dropped. Apoptosis, which is the death of the liver cell. You want apoptosis in people with cancer. You do not want a normal organ to have apoptosis. So you can see the apoptosis is controlled, and so is the fibrosis, and the insulin resistance is also reduced. So there you have it. So I'm exceedingly proud of this study. I strongly recommend people who have liver condition to consider this. Now, there are many products out in the market. They say liver health. If you read carefully, yes, they are for liver health. They are usually referring to liver toxicity, meaning they have liver that have been exposed to pesticide or lead. So their liver is toxified by horrible things like that. So they have liver health. We are not talking about that kind of a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about a problem of people that have high fat and high sugar diet that damage their liver for dietary things. So we are talking about that kind of thing. And not that the first kind is no good, but it's this kind. By the way, there are also studies with tocotrienol on that kind of liver damage, of toxicity damage like that. But this is more on a dietary problem in the liver. We now move on to study delta tocotrienol in central obesity and inflammation in metabolic syndrome. This one here, we study people with tocotrienol and resveratrol. We give them some resveratrol, but about 500 milligrams. So rather than me talking about primary endpoint, secondary endpoint, and conclusion, how about I give you 10-15 seconds, you can see that how they drop. And it works for men as well as for women. And in the bottom, you can see that it is very sweet. It clearly works on people who have metabolic syndrome. That means that they're not they're pre-diabetic kind of, but they're not yet diabetic. So it works on them as well. And weight loss is also seen in this group. Then we went on to study people with type 2 diabetes. Remember, these are now diabetic patients. they are on medication, they cannot stop the medication, but we give them in addition to the medication, tocotrienol. In addition, that means that the medication said that if they lower sugar, they already lower sugar. But this is in addition. You cannot ask them to stop taking medication because it's ethically not allowed. But you can add on tocotrienol. That's what they did. And so if you look at this, 250 milligram group and 500 milligram that group. So if you look, the 500 milligram did not buy as much, a little bit more, but not as much as the 250 milligram. Now, this doesn't mean to say you take more is no good. Just remember, we study diabetic. That means diabetic has already gone a little bit off the left field. You follow? They don't have metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetes or fatty liver. They are frank diabetic people. And even so, the glucose still dropped about 6.8%. A1C dropped 6%. Insulin is dropped and the HOMA IR also dropped. So that's not a nothing. Inflammation is also controlled on the bottom 5 that you can see there. So now summary. I'll let you read the first 5 dots. I'll read you the last one. The recommended dose. For a healthy subject, 100 to 300 milligram is fine depending on their weight. If they're mild chronic condition, 300 to 400 milligram would be fine. If they have advanced chronic condition, 400 to 600 milligram. So generally, this is my overarching type recommendation. Personally, I take 300 milligram. Because my cholesterol is high, I take a statin drug, so I take tocotrienol, not so much to lower my cholesterol as such, because my cholesterol is hypercholesterolemic. I take it to contain my inflammation, and that have helped me greatly. So I have now covered for you the first part of the tocotrienol. I think my timing is still pretty good. And then I would like in the next 10-15 minutes to cover ubiquinol, and after that I should have enough time to field some questions. Now remember, I'm trying to cover ubiquinol. This is CoQ10. You know, in CoQ10, I wanted to introduce you to a compound called Geranylgeraniol. It's called GG, acronizing it, Geranylgeraniol. This compound is almost unknown, but this compound is quietly in the human body in mammals as well as in plants. This structure looks very wiggly, but I'll simplify. The top structure is GG. See that? If you jump one structure to the third one, that's a tocotrienol. The entire structure of GG is in the tocotrienol. So the plant makes tocotrienol from GG. The plant does. Mammal human cannot do this, and hence the green color. The second one, you see GG every day in your life, whether you're vegetarian or not. GG is required for the making of carotene, beta carotene, lycopene, all this. So when people say eat your colors, that you see all those colors, they come from GG, like that. So that should, now your eyes are wide open, really? Then look at the next one, chlorophyll. All plants are green color. The entire side chain of the chlorophyll, which is a big blob of a structure that have a magnesium in the middle, that's chlorophyll. I don't know if you can see my mouth. That is a structure. The whole tail here is GG. That's chlorophyll. Without chlorophyll, plant cannot live. That's a plant. This same molecule is also in animal. This is almost unknown, ladies and gentlemen. So GG, for example, is the entire tail of vitamin K2 manoquinone 4. The human body makes this molecule. This is CoQ10 in the bottom here. The entire tail, long tail, had 2.5 molecules of GG to make CoQ10. We have a ubiquinol. I believe extract wellness call it Biochemistry, that had ubiquinol, and we pair it with GG to make this product, so that together they're able to be the next generation ubiquinol. So that's the reason behind. I don't know if you can see because I cannot see myself. If you could, you may be locked out. I'm going to purposely stand away. You can see this structure here is Geranylgeraniol in front, and the back structure that look like a huge albatross of a compound, that is CoQ10. CoQ10 is very difficult to get absorbed, and so if you have GG will absorb because it's 3 times smaller. You can physically see it, 3 times absorbs better to make CoQ10 like that. So, oh, I do have this. So if you look at this one here, see that? This is the molecular weight of GG. These are all small molecules. And CoQ10 is considered one of the largest of the small molecule. So you need a lot of help to go in. And that's a structure. You have 2 molecules of GG here, plus another half molecule to make CoQ10. And then vitamin K2 is here. So if you look, this one here, and that's why we added GG, a pair with ubiquinol to make it absorb better, to make it able to produce endogenous CoQ10 better. So this is the reason why on the ubiquity of GG as well as the bioavailability of GG. Ubiquinol function. And much of this you can learn on the internet, but I'm just summarize here for you. It produces basic energy currency. And the basic energy currency is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Simple. If you eat your meal with carb, fat, and protein, eventually it could chop it up and become ATP. Otherwise, the body don't know how to recognize the basic energy. That's it. And you need ubiquinol to convert that basic energy currency. Second one, it produces cardiac muscle. And you know, a GG make cardiac muscle, it support cardiac muscle. Ubiquinol support cardiac muscle. And ubiquinol also repair muscle fatigue and weakness. These are all known functions of ubiquinol CoQ10. And then as well, ubiquinol is an endogenous antioxidant. So therefore it provides LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, from oxidation, and then able to protect it like that. And notice that I kept a space, and then I say it reverses statin decimation. Let me cover this a little bit. How does ubiquinol and GG reverses statin decimation? So the next 2 slides explain it. This green line from top to bottom is what I call interstate 95. Why? Because this diagram here produces downstream cholesterol. And cholesterol is found in all the 38 trillion cells in our body. It's required. We only demonize cholesterol because as we grow older, we have high cholesterol, and cholesterol causes plaque. Otherwise, cholesterol have normal function. So now comes the drug statin. The drug statin inhibit, this means blocking, inhibit here at C5. So if you block here, then guess what? At C15, body make 5 carbons at a time. C15 here, if you segue to the left, it cholesterol lower. So people who take statin, if you block here, typically cholesterol drops 30 to 50%. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just give you the simplest way to explain it. Usually people will look at this and they stop. Don't look further down. They just stop here. That's what statin does, like that. But I'm trying to help you to go further. Notice this green here, C15. There's another C20. That is your GG. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Geranylgeraniol. So if you don't take statin, the GG here, it will continue to put 5 more carbon to make this guy here. And this guy here will make MK4, will make CoQ10, will make skeletal muscle protein. However, if you have statin that block cholesterol synthesis, it cannot stop it from accidentally inhibit GG synthesis. So if it cannot stop this guy from happening, guess what? Everybody know when you take statin drug, CoQ10 drop. That is the reason. People say that you take statin, CoQ10 drop, you must supplement CoQ10. That's correct. But people didn't know why CoQ10 drop. Now I'm explaining to you why. You take statin, CoQ10 drop, because statin inhibit decimate this so severely, therefore it has lesser of this to make CoQ10, hence CoQ10 drop. It's very simple. It's not complicated like that. And however, medical doctors care more about, hey, do you have any skeletal or muscle problem? The doctor called myopathy. That's it. They have myopathy when they take statin because they don't have GG. Memorize this diagram. This diagram is important. It explains why people have muscle problem, why people have low CoQ10, probably in time why people have low MK4. But right now, they don't know just yet. So you're the first. So I put a cartoon picture for you to appreciate. That is Interstate 95. Just look at it. So it's the heaviest traffic interstate, about 2,000 miles over 15 states in the United States. That include that this eastern seaboard have 1 in 3 Americans living. So this is cartoonically captures the metaphor. And 13 Nobel Prizes were given to all of this funny thing. So if you think of statin inhibit things at Massachusetts, say, and then cholesterol synthesis is interstate 80 Sagway, cholesterol drop. However, you cannot stop at interstate 70 where CoQ10 drop also, because you hit it in Boston, you see. So you cannot stop the downstream. And MK4 in interstate 66 also drop. And believe it or not, interstate 685, it also dropped with the skeletal muscle. So, and I don't have time to cover the brown adipose tissue also drop, and testosterone also drop further down somewhere in Atlanta like that. But the top part is good enough. So all this to say, statin are indiscriminate cholesterol reducer. So it doesn't just reduce cholesterol, it indiscriminately reduce many other things. This is why ubiquinol and GG comes in to mitigate this kind of problem. Now, if you don't take statin as we age, we also don't make enough GG. So if you don't make enough GG as you age without statin, guess what? CoQ10 would drop, MK4 would drop, skeletal muscle becomes sarcopenia, and we have more white body fat rather than brown body fat, and we have low testosterone, so we don't have enough strive. This picture explains people who have statin as well as people who have no statin. I hope that helped. This is almost the end of my slide now. If you talk about statin takers, today there are 40 million people. If you, the American Diabetes Association encourage people type 2 diabetes to take it, and the study of aging greater than 65-year-old and COVID. Why did I put COVID? I never covered COVID. A paper of mine will be published in the next 2 months. So Wellness Extract can bug me on this. When it comes out, I'll tell you the connection of GG and CoQ10 to COVID. But for now, the paper will be published soon enough. So I suspect 40 million statin takers will reach 80 million statin takers, double. So if it reaches 80 million, then statin will be the 21st century aspirin. I'm using aspirin here as a metaphor because people think of aspirin as a magic that had been for so long. So if that should become 80 million, then statin will replace the current 52 million acetaminophen user. Acetaminophen in the British Commonwealth country, they call it paracetamol, and in the US, the common trade name is Tylenol, that you can buy OTC everywhere. That's the most common NSAID drug painkiller. You can get 52 million, and if you see statin is a prescription, if you get to 80 million, it will be the 21st century aspirin. So what, you say? So what? 1 in 4 patients have SAMs. I explain what SAMs is. Statin-associated muscle problem. Please do not take my word. Google SAMs. And then you find out what is SAM, and you will find its connection to statin. So therefore, it is possible of the 80 million, 20 million people may benefit from GG because of possible statin-associated muscle problem. So this comes to the, now this is probably my last slide. Summing it up, ubiquinol is the most bioavailable form. It's a bioavailable form of CoQ10. Ubiquinol is the activated form of CoQ10. Ubiquinol is an antioxidant form of CoQ10. And then you have a space. This bioquinol, or we call proquinol here, we pair it with GG plus GG. So then this becomes biochemically relevant form of CoQ10. I explained earlier on why this is biochemically relevant. And finally, this product of wellness extract, bioquinol, and I recognize and say the trade name is from them. And then this is a bioaccessible form of CoQ10. The audience may ask, why bioaccessible? See here, we do not add synthetic stuff. We add naturally emulsifier. First, you know about coquinol and GG, and then we add MCT, and we add Quiella. Quiella is a plant extract from a Chilean bark. And then we add this, and together this allows the bioquinol, or this combination of ubiquinol plus GG, to be more bioaccessible. And the patent was issued last year about this time. So is that the last one? Okay. So if you have any question, please email to wellness extract, and then, we'll see where that would go. Hopefully, I may still have a few minutes. I'll pass it back on to you. Hopefully, I didn't rush it too much, and I tried to fill some questions the audience might have. Pass it back to you.
So much, Dr. Barrie. This was incredibly enlightening. Seriously, I mean, tocotrienols is something that we study on a regular basis, and then now you've just given us an inner world in it. So thank you so much for that. Yes, we do have some questions. The first one is coming from Dr. Sarah. She is asking, how high can you go with the dosage with an obese male, high triglycerides and live enzymes? No results yet, but guessing he's not taking the 300 mg twice a day as I recommended.
Okay. Dr. Sarah, thank you for the question. If this person has high triglyceride, likely had metabolic syndrome, and almost very likely the person may have fatty liver disease, depending on the shape of the person's body. Of all the measurements we have ever done, we almost nearly consistently, almost all the time, see triglyceride drop. So if this person is taking 300 milligram, fine, you will see some drop. If this person is frankly already have fatty liver or clear metabolic syndrome, or the triglyceride is sky high, consider and recommend to this person to take the 300 milligram twice a day. So that means, but make sure they take it with a meal. I didn't say enough because tocotrienol is lipid soluble. Maybe take it with lunch and dinner. Of the 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, take it with the 2 meals that have the that have more fat, so that it helps in the emulsification.
Thank you so much. Another question we have from Dr. Natalie. She's asking, what impact can tocotrienols have on MCP3, eotoxin, and CTAC markers?
What does it have? Say that question again.
So she's asking, what impact can tocotrienols have on MCP3, eotoxin, and CTAC markers?
I don't know enough of those markers, and that a doctor may not have time. If if that Dr. Natalie, if you email wide dose markers to Wellness Extract, and then let me think it through. If there is something there that I can reply, I would like to reply. But just off the cuff, I don't know what dose marker. They're not familiar to me.
No problem. We'll go to the next question. And again, Dr. Natalie, please, if you could email us the details on those, and then we'll be able to get you the answer on that. Another question is, Dr. Melanie is asking, why did you choose to encapsulate the oil in soft gels, and are there any studies done on this delivery system?
On what delivery system?
So basically the soft gels, I believe. Are there any tests done on the are there any studies done on the soft gels system? Like,
oh, this delivery are on the soft gel system. I don't know, but I'll say what I know to say.
Yeah.
We do sell the tocotrienol in powder because many companies want to make this and that different. So the powder is easy to they put it in a two-piece, and then they add something else. They believe we don't control people doing whatever out there, but they want to include tocotrienol. And in those instances, they could only use powder to put in a two-piece. They cannot have it in oil. But in all our study, we prefer to give them in oil. Why? Because the oil is able to emulsify with the food, enabling the tocotrienol to best absorb through the villi of the gut. We have seen this and then have done many pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamics study like that. And so we have kept doing it with the soft gel, and so that it's got no other external excipients.
Thank you. Another question is, Dr. Lara, can tocotrienols be taken with blood thinning medications?
That's a good question. To the best of our knowledge, yes. That question probably comes because the backbone understanding is there are questions out there that when people take vitamin E, that they may thin the blood and therefore they may not able to do clotting. So this is shown. We have a clinical trial going on now, Dr. Lara, in University of Southern Florida at Tampa. And this will be, I'm just very proud. I have no parts in this, but we are providing the medicine for this. That we gave people, that people are going to use 800 milligrams. Remember the context. Every dosage is dependent on the context. These are given to people with pancreatic cancer. And pancreatic cancer is the most virulent of all cancer, 400 milligrams 2 times a day. That's how the choice of the oncologist decided to do, like that. And he would give to people perhaps 1 to 2 months before the surgery. So he had earlier asked, because he's going to go to surgery, will the wound be affected in healing with the tocotrienol, which is a form of vitamin E? And he found that compared to placebo, when he used at the time in his study, when he used 600 milligram, 900 milligram, 1200 milligram, he did not find any difference in the healing of this, and the sutured healing of the excised tumor from those studies. And because of that, the FDA have no qualms this time around for the study of using 800 milligram a day for the same procedure like I mentioned to you. So I do not have any fear that this would have problem with the clotting effect.
Thank you. So another question on dosage there is, as a general practitioner, what tocotrienol dosages should we keep in mind?
I think for a healthy person, for antioxidant protection, I think one of my slides have it here. Here on the bottom, if you can still see, healthy person 100 to 300 milligram depending on the person's weight. And ask, well, if I'm healthy, I don't have this or that or chronic condition, why would I need it? I have an answer for it. Each person have about 38 trillion cells in the body, and each cell have a cell wall. And the cell wall had 80% of the cell wall is fat. The other 20% are the phosphate. And the vitamin E is best able to snuck in there because it looks like a tadpole and it swim around the cell. Let's say the cell is a bean shape like that. And it spins around to protect the integrity of the fat so they won't get oxidized. So you can traffic what nutrient go inside the cell, what thing get egress of the cell. So for the oxidative protection of a healthy person to their cell, I recommend 100 to 300 milligram. And with mild chronic condition, maybe approximately double that, 300 to 400. And then for advanced chronic condition, 400 to 600.
Thank you so much. And now we are short on time. We only have 2 minutes, but there is another question at the end. Dr. Amanda is asking, can you tell more about the Ubiquinol Plus?
Can I tell what?
More about Ubiquinol Plus?
Oh, the ubiquinol is the ubiquinol is CoQ10 is ubiquinone, the oxidized form, and the reduced form ubiquinol. We make the ubiquinol because it's got 2 OH group, rendering it a little bit more bioavailable than ubiquinol, 1. And 2, ubiquinol is the active form of CoQ10. So therefore, we decided to use a ubiquinol. But we also add to this for the next generation GG, because GG is the building block to make CoQ10. So if you add GG, GG also make endogenous CoQ10. Oh, by the way, we just finished the study. We gave people GG and we found that the blood plasma increased CoQ10 by 20%. Now, listen carefully. We didn't give people CoQ10. Now, if you give people CoQ10, it may increase 100 to 200%. Well, then people say, well, Dr. Tan, you have nothing to brag about. You only said 20%, 10 times lower than 200%. Not so. Think about it. We gave people GG and it encouraged the body to endogenously make CoQ10. That is novel and that's different. If you just give people CoQ10, it just gets into the blood. We don't know if the CoQ10 even gets into the tissue. If you give people a GG, the GG goes in the blood, goes into the organ, into the cell of the organ, and then into the mitochondria, make the CoQ10, and then any extra goes back out of the cell, out of the organ, into the plasma, and then 20%. Now, you tell me, if you have 20% increase, is that a good thing or not? That means that it actually induces the body to make its own CoQ10. That 20% to me is much higher cachet to the 100% increase. If you give people CoQ10, it just show up in the blood. So together, when we make this special ubiquinol, we pair it with GG for the reason that GG together with CoQ10 is a wonderful thing. And the CoQ10 we deliver is ubiquinol. So I hope I answered Dr. Mata that question. If you have another last one, I'll take the last question.
So let me just check. There is one more. We're actually right on time. So I'm going to actually keep the questions for the next one, Dr. Tan, because we're actually on time. And I also want to mention that we will soon have another session on Duocanol with Dr. Tan, hopefully soon. We will send out the dates and details in our emails. But again, we would like to thank you, Dr. Tan, for taking your time and sharing your invaluable wisdom and groundbreaking research with us. It's really fascinating, and all the complexities of vitamin E and how it impacts our cellular health and longevity. It's just amazing to know all about this. We're deeply grateful for the opportunity to learn from such a distinguished expert, and your insights have reminded us that the pursuit of health is actually the continuous journey enriched with science and discovery, how it's so beautiful and so impactful. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you to all our attendees, especially the practitioners who have taken your time to come out and join this session. Thank you very much. Thank you for your engaging questions to Dr. Tan, and thank you for your enthusiasm. Let's carry forward this knowledge that we gained today into our daily practices and strive for healthier lives. And until next time, thank you everyone. Stay healthy, stay curious, and we hope your day is filled with full of wellness. Thank you so much.